पाकिस्तान में तैनात बरतानवी हाई कमिश्नर जेन मैरियट का कहना है कि दुनिया के किसी भी मुल्क के इतने बच्चे स्कूल से बाहर नहीं हैं जितने पाकिस्तान में हैं। जेन मैरियट ने कहा कि पाकिस्तान में बड़ी तादाद में बच्चे स्कूलों से बाहर हैं। इस्लामाबाद में तालीमी कॉन्फ्रेंस का इनेकाद हुआ जिसमें वज़ीर-ए-आज़म शहबाज शरीफ और बरतानवी हाई कमिश्नर जेन मैरियट समेत दीगर ने शिरकत की। इस मौके पर तकरीब से खिताब करते हुए बरतानवी हाई कमिश्नर जेन मैरियट ने कहा कि पाकिस्तान को तालीम के बहरान का सामना है। पाकिस्तान में सबसे ज़्यादा बच्चे स्कूलों से बाहर हैं। पाकिस्तान में तैनात बरतानवी हाई कमिश्नर जेन मैरियट का कहना है कि दुनिया के किसी मुल्क में इतने बच्चे स्कूल से बाहर नहीं जितने पाकिस्तान में हैं। इस्लामाबाद में तालीमी कॉन्फ्रेंस का इनेकाद हुआ जिसमें वज़ीर-ए-आज़म शहबाज शरीफ और बरतानवी हाई कमिश्नर जेन मैरियट समेत दीगर ने शिरकत की। इस मौके पर तकरीब से खिताब करते हुए बरतानवी हाई कमिश्नर जेन मैरियट ने कहा कि पाकिस्तान को तालीम के बहरान का सामना है। पाकिस्तान में सबसे ज़्यादा बच्चे स्कूलों से बाहर हैं। उन्होंने कहा दुनिया के किसी मुल्क में इतने बच्चे स्कूल से बाहर नहीं जितने पाकिस्तान में हैं। गुरबत से निपटने में तालीम की अहमियत बुनियादी है। इसके अलावा वज़ीर-ए-आज़म शहबाज शरीफ ने अपने खिताब में कहा कि तालीम के बगैर कोई कौम तरक्की नहीं कर सकती। कौम अपने आज़म और हौसले से किसी भी चैलेंज पर काबू पाने की सलाहियत रखती है। वज़ीर-ए-आज़म ने कहा पाकिस्तान चैलेंजों पर काबू पाकर एटमी कुव्वत बना। अगर हम यकसूर होकर चलें तो पाकिस्तान हर शोबे में अपना नाम पैदा करेगा।
Thank you very much indeed. Your Excellency, Mr. Prime Minister, Federal Ministers, Education Ministers, Secretaries, as we say in a country I used to work in, all protocols observed, rather than reading through the very long list of all the very amazing and distinguished people here today who deserve to be honoured and recognised. Salaam alaikum and good afternoon to you all. It's an honour today to speak in support of the objectives of today's conference on behalf of the UK government, and thank you for all the lovely, wonderful things that you said. But there are many other international partners, multilateral who we've heard from, and also bilateral who are here today, and others who have also been working hard in support of the government of Pakistan in its education initiatives, including the United States, Japan, Australia, Germany, Canada, and many others. The development community has invested substantially in education over the years in support of the government, but we're aware that this is just a drop in the ocean given the massive scale of Pakistan's education system and its population. What matters more than anything is having a government leadership and a government vision that donors and development partners can get behind, that clear vision and that clear momentum to achieve progress. So it's inspiring, therefore, today, Mr. Prime Minister, that we're here at the announcement of your global education, national education emergency for Pakistan, delivering that vision, which we can come in and support. There couldn't be a better moment, of course, to remind us of the famous quotation by Mr. Mahmoud Ali Jinnah when he said, shortly after the founding of Pakistan, he said, "Education is a matter of life and death for Pakistan. The world is progressing so rapidly that without the requisite advance in education, not only shall we be left behind others, but we may be wiped out altogether." We are living today in a highly volatile, climate-vulnerable world. Pakistan, with 60% of the population below the age of 30, is at a crossroads where it needs to make tough choices so that children and youth, one of its greatest assets, have the education and skills to help Pakistan stand tall in the world. But we know that Pakistan is facing a real crisis in education. Recent evidence shows that although the proportion of out-of-school children in Pakistan has decreased, the total number has grown to, as we've heard, over 26 million. Pakistan is home now to more out-of-school children than any other country in the world. Bringing those children back to school should be our collective moral mission. But it's not just a moral mission, it's also an investment in their future and an investment in Pakistan and therefore the world's future. Pakistan is not alone in these challenges. Globally, the number of out-of-school children and youth has risen by 6 million since 2021 and now stands at 250 million. Around 70%, as we've just heard from my friend in UNICEF, around 70% of 10-year-olds in low and middle income countries cannot read or understand a simple text. Overall, progress against Sustainable Development Goal number 4 is far from satisfactory. Which is why today's conference for a call for urgent action to fast-track progress in Pakistan is absolutely so vital, and why the leadership, Mr. Prime Minister, Education Minister and those behind you, is absolutely so vital. It's important to take steps in parallel to create the right conditions. Firstly, the schools will need to be made ready to receive and retain all of the children, including the out-of-school children and youth. This will require increasing education spending, recruiting for vacant teacher posts, finding cost-effective transport solutions, filling gaps in infrastructure such as through digital technology, multiple shifts at schools, and public-private partnerships. And I was inspired, as I hope many of you were before you came into this auditorium today, to visit some of the stalls outside where we were learning about some of the innovative things that Pakistan is doing to deliver on some of those aspects. Many out-of-school children are, of course, also overage and need alternative solutions to formal schooling. Initiatives like the Punjab Roadmap will provide better tools for accelerating and measuring progress. Secondly, to retain children in schools, tackling learning poverty is fundamental. Pakistan cannot afford to have an education system where 8 in 10 children cannot read a simple paragraph by the age of 10. An investment in catch-up learning programs, reading campaigns and better pedagogy will be vital, as I think we're about to hear. As your bilateral partners, Mr. Prime Minister, Chief Ministers, Education Ministers, we call on you to make a commitment to also take steps to ensure that by 2030, every child is able to read and write by the age of 10. We call on the passionate youth and community members who can teach in step to achieve the goals of emergency education. Thirdly, I would like to stress that the highest performing education systems in the world are also the most inclusive. That is, they support the most disadvantaged students to learn. Girls, children living in poverty and conflict, those with a disability and those from religious minorities will need greater attention. And we can pay special attention to these groups in enrolment and learning campaigns. I'd like to congratulate you, Mr. Prime Minister, specifically for continuing to show your strong commitment to education for all, for which you are globally known. I'd also like to commend the Federal Minister, Dr. Khalid Maqbool Siddiqui, the Federal Secretary of Education, and his team for making this an excellent initiative with such passion. It is extremely vital for the federal tier to work together with the Chief Ministers, Provincial Education Ministers, and their teams to achieve the objectives of this education emergency. Learning from the huge success in polio eradication, the formation of a national education task force will provide the much-needed ground for seamless coordination. We also urge for a more effective role for the Council of Common Interests to bring together the federating units. And to make the major impact required, we will all need to continue to pull in the same direction. For my part, I can assure you that the UK will continue with our unwavering end-to-end support to action in the education sector. And I'm confident that other partners too will also put their best feet forward. What you are delivering today, Mr. Prime Minister, is that vision that we can all get behind and support, not just your partners in the development community, but I hope the whole of Pakistan. No child should be left behind. Thank you.